begins now. It has been a while since I've done a show, but we're on season 2 now. And I just want to let everyone know that it's an honor to be able to interview inspiring and focus driven people on my platform. And it really means a lot. And on today, we have a very special guest. You'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Most definitely. So, my name is Cool Colas, but that's actually my artist creative name. My real name is Nicholas Tolbert-Jordan.
And I just want to say I thank you so much for being on here. It really means a lot. And for everyone that's listening, you what you do on your platform and the way you utilize your mind and your resources for your gifts and your talent, it really can inspire a lot of people. And people after this interview, I'm pretty sure are going to get a way better idea of who you are. But I just want to say thank you again for wanting to do this interview, and I just want to say I appreciate you.
No problem. I appreciate you having me.
No problem at all. I know. So I want to let people know. So where are you from?
So, I'm originally from Oak Park, Michigan, but I was actually born in Detroit. Now, as far as like where I grew up, I grew up pretty much in Detroit, like private schools. So that's basically where I've been all my life in Michigan.
Okay, so now being in that area, I know you mentioned about private schools. So
Mhm.
did you see a lot of the kids that you went to school with were
Mhm.
did any of them transition to go back into public school, or you was always around the same group of people growing up?
It's kind of funny. The type of people that I had, just like growing up in different, private schools was different because originally I had like a lot of people who, like when I was in elementary school, a lot of them were like me and you, they were black. So when I went to high school, it was a little bit more diverse. There were all different types of people. I mean, you had black kids, you had white kids, Hispanic kids. You just had all different types of backgrounds. So as far as that goes, when I was in elementary school, a lot of them I think did end up going to public high schools. Some of them went to private high schools, but yeah, it kind of depends because I went to different private schools at different points of like my education. Like when I was like in grade school, so it kind of just depends on which audience we're talking about.
Okay, now so with that being the case,
Mm.
like as you navigated through the different systems of education,
Mhm.
did you find yourself realizing that you can interact with different people from different backgrounds because you have been able to be in the private school sector, then go to more so the public school? Did that help you as far as like evolving as a youth?
It did, just because of the fact that I was able to take that when I went to college, and I was around like a lot of other different backgrounds. I was able to kind of like navigate that process and talk to a lot of different people. I think I was always kind of like what you would call like a chameleon. I was always the type where like I could kind of go back and forth between being around people who were like me, like people who are black, but then like being around people who weren't like me as well too. So I guess because of the fact that I had I grew up with just like a lot of other black students in elementary school, and then like when I went to high school having different people with different races and stuff like that, it kind of just gave me just the ability just to see different people and just navigate that differently.
Okay, well that sounds good, and I think in the big picture that helps out as far as dealing with people understanding that not everybody can be labeled the same. When we listen to the news or entertainment, sometimes people generalize a lot, and I think you got that firsthand experience of, hey, I know that there is people who can be a certain way, and there are groups of people who can seem to make a huge impact for everybody that they could possibly represent. But for you, you got to, I guess, at a young age, understand that you have to take each person as an individual. You know what I'm saying? Because that
Hmm.
individual can also have a way of spreading their ideologies onto other people, which now you see today where we have more followers than leaders. So it's good that you have grown up to be a leader, and your voice and your mind is going to help a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. What I was gonna say is, so the interesting thing about that is, it was more of a like learning experience more than anything because me growing up in, like I said, just being in elementary school all the way up until middle school and only being around black people. Like I even got to the point, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say this. The only times I ever saw like white people were like when I went to the store and stuff like that. Like if I went to the store, if I went, to go do something with my mom or whoever. But it kind of allowed me to like learn about people who just didn't look like me. So I think for me it was more so a learning experience because I was able to understand other people who like just didn't share that same cultural background. It's just important, in, I guess, the grand scope of like when you get older and finding your tribe and knowing the people who you want to surround yourself with and understanding their culture before you do that.
That makes sense, and
Mhm.
it's good that you were able to see that, and your your parents was able to have the resources to be able to put you in the best situation. I think, big picture as well. When people are having kids, sometimes
Mhm.
you always hear, well, you're never really gonna be prepared for kids, but you can also prepare financially.
Mhm.
So for anything that happens, whether it's kids or loss of a job or something like that, you're able to have something to fall back on. Because when you bring kids into this world and you deprive them of certain resources, then they may look into another direction of, okay, well, I want to have more. And if my parents can't get that to me, maybe the people in the streets, maybe this other, what I'm saying, group
Mhm.
of individuals that seem to have it all going on can do. So I'm glad that you spoke on that. And
Yeah.
and as you were growing up, you know,
Mhm.
when did you kind of find out that you had certain gifts or talents that you started to tap into?
So I would say that the first time that I really, really noticed that was probably in high school, like early high school. So for me, my talent, as you probably know already, but obviously other people don't, is I'm a writer. That is like my main thing. I'm a big time writer. I like to write different things between books, comics, things like that. And so when I was growing up, um, I actually wasn't like that great at like, just writing, like as far as like professional writing, where, you had good grammar and all this other stuff. Like I wasn't good at that originally. And so I had this teacher who was she really just wanted the best out of me. So she worked with me a lot, and eventually my writing just got taken to just another level. Because originally my thing was, and this is the best way that I ended up learning, is I'm a person who learned um, from having an example, having a very good example, being able to mimic that example, and then just doing it repetitiously. And that helped me to kind of realize, well, I mean, all I needed was a little bit of a push. And then my writing was able to, kind of help me in a lot of different avenues. So I think like I would say like ninth grade when I had like a teacher that really kind of helped me take my writing to the next level. I knew that it was somewhere in the creative area because of the fact that I've always been a creative kid. I've always been like that type of kid that was I would be in my room by myself because I was the only child growing up. I would be like playing and making up these like imaginary stories with my toys and stuff like that. Like I was always imaginative. And then writing allowed me to just take that to the next level. So in a way, it was always within me, and I kind of like knew it, but I didn't realize that it was like a superpower